finally that time, and I couldn't be more excited. We've got my top 10 spring designer fragrances for 2022. So we have a nice selection here, and what I love so much about spring is it really gives you a time to kind of transition into warmer weather scents. You can kind of wean yourself off the winter ones slowly, because when you look here, there's a nice mixture of things, and none of these are over the top, super fresh and citrusy. With spring, you kind of get to use some of your almost misfits, so to speak. You know, fragrances that are a little bit fresh but a little bit sweet. Maybe sometimes you're like, oh, it's too hot this day to wear it, or it's too hot or too cold this day to wear it, right? That kind of in between time, spring and fall. It's kind of what these are aimed for. And these do have more of a springtime smell. You know, they're still uplifting and bright, and just kind of get you in the mood for warm weather and longer days and all of that good stuff. I will link these down below to discounters so you can pick them up at a price below retail, and you can start getting your spring fragrance game on. We're going to start off at number 10 with Artisan Blue by John Varvatos. So this one has basil, bergamot, pine, and lavender. There's a lot of other notes as well. Typically, these John Varvatos fragrances have pretty generous note breakdowns, but this essentially for me takes the place of Artisan Aqua. That's a discontinued fragrance. You actually still can pick that one up. I will link it down below currently where you can buy it, but it is discontinued technically, or it was a limited edition and now stock is starting to dry up because it's in and out, and the price now is up quite a bit compared to what it used to be. But for all intents and purposes, we're just going to go with Artisan Blue as the main part of the list here. This one has similarities to Artisan Aqua, but not exactly the same. To me, this one is very aromatic, very green. It's got a little bit of an herbaceousness as well, and a little bit of a watery feel, kind of. So I've said this before lots of times, and I'll say it again just because I have no shame. They could have gotten away with naming this one Artisan Green. And I actually photoshopped a bottle of this one time and just changed the coloration to green, right? The glass, the webbing on the outside, and it actually looks really cool. Artisan Green. That could have worked well because this is much more green than it is blue. And I think blue will mislead people because you may automatically associate that with an ambroxan fragrance. This is not that. This, I believe, came out before that whole wave was as big as it was now. So, you know, more green, aromatic, herbal, you know, just a different take. It smells like being outdoors in a garden, out playing in your yard by a forest or something. It just has this kind of, I don't know, this outdoors feeling about it, and I love it for spring. At number 9, we have Hugo Boss Selection. We've got musk, pink pepper, and grapefruit as some of the main notes. This one runs you about $20 to $25, maybe $30, somewhere around in that price range there on discounters, and I think it smells great. Severely underrated, at least in comparison to a lot of other fragrances in this list in general. A lot of these other ones get more talk, but this one, it's been out for a while. It's easy to overlook, but I encourage you to really give it a shot. It's got musk, pink pepper, grapefruit. It's bright. It's a little bit spicy up top. Has a nice, clean, musky, fresh smell. Very classy, very gentlemanly. And also for me, this presentation, it does it for me. I love the presentation on this one. Now, there's nothing special about it. I mean, it's very simplistic actually, right? But that's why I like it, because this presentation really kind of embodies the scent. You know, it exudes this classiness, the sophisticated type of look. You know, the bottle is very refined. It doesn't look like it's trying too hard, or it's not too gaudy like an Invictus bottle, right? Or a Paco Rabanne bottle. Even on the top of the cap, there's this textured kind of brushed finish to it. I don't know if you could see it very well or not. Just small details, very classy. You know, it's one that you would be proud to display on your shelf, and it's a cheapie that packs a big punch. Next up, let's go over to Givenchy. This one is Gentleman Eau de Toilette Intense. So this fragrance line is incredible. This is one of the few fragrance lines where I like pretty much all of them, or I'll take that back. One of the few fragrance lines where I like all of them, but I love a lot of them. That is very rare, at least for me. Lots of fragrance lines out there. Some big ones like L'Homme and La Nuit de L'Homme, those lines. I don't necessarily like every single one. There's a few from each that I'm not too crazy on, and even fewer that I really, really love, right? And the list goes on with other big brands, big designer lines as well. the Gentleman line has a little bit of everything for everybody, and there's no redundancy within it either. Iris, tonka bean, and cypress are some of the main notes. This one has an aromatic, kind of modern woody smell. You know, it's a freshness. So it's a fresher take than something like the EDP or Boise or the new Reserve Privé, but it's not quite as fresh as Cologne or even the original EDT from 2017. So it's kind of right there in the middle. It adds bits and pieces of this kind of creamy woodiness, a little bit of iris, of course, tying it back, and some depth, but it also doesn't get too sweet either. It's a modernized twist on the line. It's a nice update. You know, it kind of fits in with, you know, the DIOR Homme 2020s and all of the other newer modern woody fragrances. Smells great, great compliments, good performer, fantastic for spring. At number 7, we have Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme Ultime. So just talking about this line, Speak of the Devil, this is one of the ones from this line that I happen to thoroughly enjoy. This one has ginger, rose, and cedarwood as a few of the main notes. It's a masculine rose. It's a fresh rose, not too jammy, not too sweet. Doesn't smell old, like an old lady or an old man. It's very fresh, right? Fresh take on that note. The ginger accompanying it gives it this brightness, this freshness. There's citruses in here as well. And there's a little bit of a sweetness from this one as well, how it comes across. I think the world of this one. I think it is very fun to wear. Smells fantastic, puts me in a great uplifting mood, makes me feel motivated. I don't know fully what's going on with this one. It was rumored to be discontinued. Then it went out of stock for months. Now it's back in stock. So, you know, this is me saying who knows for sure. But if it's available now, which it should be, linked down below, get it while you can. I think it's a great scent. And while it's available, I'd like to sneak it in while I can. Number 6, we have Kenneth Cole Mankind Legacy. So going back to a cheapie here. Balsam fir, amyris, orange, and cedarwood are some of the main notes. Really like this one a lot. It shocked me. I wasn't expecting, you know, the world out of this one given the price point. And it's still not the best thing ever, but for the price and compared to a lot of other fragrances in this price range, it's surprisingly really good. Kenneth Cole, probably not a brand that most of you think of and prioritize at the top of your list when thinking about fragrances for a seasonal video, at least not for me. But this one, again, it impressed me. There's different notes in here being used at the forefront that you don't normally see from designer brands that often, let alone brands like Kenneth Cole. They were really trying here, I feel. And I think they did a great job, created something very refreshing, bright, airy, light, great for springtime, easily the best season for this one. Another one where the presentation, I just love it. Has an ever so slightly light blue tint to it. Very simplistic, very minimal, but that's what I like in a presentation. And if this doesn't look like spring, I don't know what does. Breaking into the top 5, Armani Code Colonia. Tonka bean, amberwood, bergamot, and orange are some of the main notes. This is one that got swept under the rug without even thinking twice by the community. At least it seems like. When it first came out, it was there. It was quickly hated on and then shunned. It's kind of how this one went, at least from what I remember it. Just did not get good coverage, did not get a lot of love. You take a look at something like Armani Code Absolu, we're talking complete opposites. Absolu being praised by just about everyone, and this one, not so much. And the reason why is because it kind of is their attempt at a blue, fresh fragrance to some extent. It's easily the freshest one of the line that's in production currently, and that's why I like it, because I can't really wear Code Profumo, Code Absolu, or the new Code EDP during, you know, the spring and summer months. I guess I could still pull those off in spring, but they don't feel like spring. They feel like winter and fall to me, and I'm trying to transition out of that, right? So if I still want some of that Armani Code DNA, but a fresher take on it, Colonia is really the option that I like the best. You could even go with the EDT, I guess, but I would prefer this over the EDT these days. It's not 100% like anything else, but it does have bits and pieces of other popular scents, you know, like a YSL, EDP, that sort of thing. A little bit of that bubblegummy sweetness going on in here, strong, heavy amberwood, but its own twist as well, an Armani Code twist. And I think it's really nice. Big fan of this one. I've liked it for a long time, and that kicks off our top 5. So let's go to number 4. This one will definitely be a bit of a controversial pick, but I like it a lot as well. This is Ralph's Club by Ralph Lauren. Lavender, Clary Sage, and Vetiver. This one is an eau de parfum, so they started it off there on a pretty strong foot there, right? Starting off as an EDP. I think it's great. You know, it also has bits and pieces of other popular releases out there. Some say YSL kind of just in that vein, and sure there is, but there's also heavier use of aromatics, a lot of clary sage. Smelling this up in the air, it's very refreshing, very cooling. It has this cooling blast about it that you may not notice initially when smelling it, or even the first few times when you smell it, but it's one where as you spray it more, you wear it more, it grows on you and you pick out different little aspects about it that you maybe didn't notice the first time. I think this one is very nice, very refreshing for spring, kind of gets me in that, you know, uplifting, warm weather mood. It's a big people pleaser, which at the end of the day is kind of what you're looking for in a designer fragrance in general. Most of you out there, otherwise you would be on my niche video, and this one does it very well. Great performer, and I've said this before, but I can't wait to see the flankers that come from this one, right? There's gonna be, inevitably, and they have a great starting point here. I'm excited for it. Number 3 would technically be considered a niche fragrance, but because it's affordable when it's in stock, I'm putting it in here because you didn't click on this video to, see super expensive fragrances over, into the niche prices, and you don't click on a niche video to see fragrances that are, under $100 most of the time. You click on a niche video, you're looking for luxury, you're looking to spend money. Therefore, that kind of slots this one in this video. We're keeping it affordable at number 3 with L'Homme Ideal Cool by GUERLAIN. Mint, almond, and watery notes are some of the main notes, quickly becoming a big, big favorite of mine. So this is taking the place of cologne, which they discontinued. I was bummed about that at first. Now I'm okay with it because I have cool, and I'm starting to like cool a lot. Almost more than the cologne, and that partly is because it's in production and I don't really have any other choice, because if I burn through my bottles of cologne then I'm done. But I really do like this one. I like the mint take on this one. It's fresh, it's green, the almond's still coming through, a little bit of a watery touch. Smells absolutely gorgeous, especially in the nice fair weather. Now, getting your hands on this one can be a bit of a challenge. It does go in and out of stock often on Fragrance Buy. We'll link it down below. Sometimes it's in, sometimes it's out. Keep checking back there and it'll pop up at some point for you to get at a price well below $100. At number 2, we have, it's this one right here. It's SAUVAGE ELIXIR. So I've really come around to this one a lot. And I gotta say, springtime, I'm gonna be hitting this one up a lot. Lavender, licorice, sandalwood, and cinnamon are some of the main notes. Note breakdown's definitely interesting. Throws you off. It's not maybe what you were expecting. And this one is by far the furthest from SAUVAGE. So I've said this before also many times, but if you're new to the channel, this is SAUVAGE for people who don't like SAUVAGE. I know, simple enough, right? It's not metallic. It's not ambroxan heavy. It's not youthful. In fact, it's quite the opposite of all of that. It's on the more mature side. It's kind of aromatic and traditional fragrance leaning in a lot of instances. And that's why I like it. It's a different twist. At first, I felt it was kind of just, out of nowhere, which it is to some extent. This smell is way off from SAUVAGE. If you compare the EDT and go straight to smelling Elixir, you're going to be like, okay, what is the correlation? But if you look through the line, you start at the EDT, then you smell the EDP, then you smell the Parfum, then you smell Elixir, you understand the progression. But it is all about the progression here. If you're a mature guy, you want something that is out of this world, incredibly strong, still has mass appeal, fantastic quality. It's going to be a little bit more, rare, because it is more expensive, and it's not going to have, I don't think, nearly the same type of cult following in terms of the younger guys like SAUVAGE EDT does. Give this one a shot. I know I'm going to be. And that leaves us with number 1. What could it be? Well, without a doubt, it's this one here. Bulgari Man Wood Neroli. Neroli, bergamot, and orange blossom are some of the main notes. This one here, I gotta say, is amazing. I mean, they outdid themselves 1000%. It's got this sugared sweetness, this crunched up photorealistic neroli leaves in here, creamy orange, so it's a little bit sweet as well. I kind of mentioned sugared fruitiness, that sort of thing. It's amazing. It's incredible. I love this stuff. And part of the reason why I like it so much is that it reminds me of a couple fragrances actually from Xerjoff, believe it or not. And that being, it's got bits and pieces of Xerjoff Kobe to me. Kobe opens up with that sweetness, like a creamy orange that like you sprinkled some sugar over and mashed up. It smells amazing. Fantastic opening on Kobe. One of my favorite citrus fragrances ever. And also from Xerjoff, what is it? Neo. I almost blanked on him. Xerjoff Neo. That one's very bergamot heavy up top with neroli as well. And it kind of shares bits and pieces of both of those. Has the sweetness from Kobe and this brightness and this neroli smell from Neo. And I absolutely love it. I'm not saying it's one-to-one, you know, exact replicas of those Xerjoff fragrances, but it has similarities. And for me, if I didn't have those bottles of Xerjoff, you know, I would be gravitating towards this instead. So if you're on a budget, you want to get into that ballpark a little bit, kind of dip your toes in a very unique smelling designer scent with a fantastic citrus opening, one of the best openings on the designer side I've smelled. Check this one out. Absolutely amazing. It's a good performer, is an EDP, and wow, I mean, this one's a stunner for sure, and it smells exactly like springtime to me. That's going to do it for me, guys. That's my top 10 spring designer fragrances for 2022. It's weird to say that, 2022, but it's true. It's here. And, you know, I'm super excited to start getting into these as we're finally getting some warm weather. Links will be down below. Let me know down below what you're going to be wearing this spring and moving into summer. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.